What is up, everyone? Pittsburgh White Schwartz coming at you with yet another deck tech. Today we are going to do 8-Win Twins new Data Live set coming out this weekend in English. White Schwartz. I am joined today by Brandon, our local Who You For.
What's up, guys?
Brandon has played every DAL card more than any human ever should. And this is probably like the most unique deck to come out of the new DAL set, I think. Do you agree with that? It's like the most unique deck. Sort of like
I was gonna say, if you're looking for a unique deck to be ha-ha funny at your locals, this is definitely your pick. If you care about style more than winning, this is 100% the deck you should be playing.
Yeah, it's definitely super cool. All right, so let's jump right into it. Pretty laser focused deck list in order for our level 2 strategy to go off with an early play centric deck. We need to make sure that we're going to get there every single game, so we're maxing out on all of our important counts. I think the thing that we can first talk about here as we jump into the cards, we are playing 8 Rickies. We're playing 4 of this new one, which is a free Ricky. It's on reverse. You send the top card of your deck to your clock, you mill top 2 and choose a level X or lower character in your waiting room. X is equal level of cards you mill, so it's a dockless Ricky effect where you get a plus, and it's like a cigarette. So it's a free cigarettes Ricky. Then in addition to that, we are also running the data bullet Ricky at a 4 count. This one's a pay 1, and then you choose a character in your waiting room, put it in your clock, search for a level 1 character. A big thing with this deck, both Brandon's playing it and me playing it a few times, mostly watching Brandon play it into a bevy of different matchups. This deck kind of really bleeds hand, especially when you get to level 2, and you kind of need to take your early pluses at any cost. So we are maxing out at the full 8 Ricky. I think this was like the thing that made the deck run a lot better, right? After you went all in.
Yeah, the addition of the extra 4 Rickies actually is what was the key to making the deck not feel bad.
Yeah, because you just need so much hand at level 2, and you don't have plussing triggers. So if you don't get your combo or things go slightly wrong, you just plus at any cost. So even if you got to punch yourself in the face, you need those cards. Keeping with that, we are playing the new, I believe, Kaguya clean cut. So it is a 2k on reverse clean cut, but you can also pay 1 when you play it to give this character 3,500 power. So with climax down 6,500. This is just yet another way to give you a way to plus, because we're hand gated, not stock gated. So any way you can to just sort of get an extra free attack over 2 turns. Maybe you are going to crash in this Kurumi Ricky, get your plus, cut it to the back row, and then use it again. That's a play I've seen made many times with this deck, just because
you always crash the reverse. Even though you're not killing something, you always crash that Ricky if you have the clean cut on board.
Yeah, just because the raw card is just so important.
Well, it's like a free +2 because the Ricky's costless, and it's like, why wouldn't you take a free +2?
Yeah, even because you want to get to level 2 first anyway and slam down your stuff, so it doesn't really matter that you're taking a bit of extra damage. Rounding out our level 0, 2 of the old yellow self-tap search brainstorm, 2 of the Coterie Chiuri, giving you a little bit of extra power. We are playing it on reverse level 1, even though that card is big. Any power pump, even in the clean cut, is nice, as well as give big and deck control. And then 1 climax swap just to make sure that we have the right climax at the right time. So moving into our level 1, we got this Yuzuru, they 1-0 3,500, and during your turn, as long as you're playing a legal Data Live deck without that 1 green card from set 1 in it, this 1-0 7,500 on your turn, climax down 1,8,500. On attack, it has innate on attack surveil, so look at top, leave it there, put it in the waiting room. And then its climax combo is on reverse. As long as you have the win in the climax zone, you salvage a character. So just on reverse, America, salvage. But it does surveil on attack, and it is extremely large. We want to be playing 8 win triggers, so this is the combo that we are.
I was also gonna point out this card. Just no, I mean, the card's kind of the most. I mean, it's an okay finisher. It's not the best thing ever, but notice that the first 2 lines are not tied to the combo. The being big and the surveilling.
Yeah.
Always. So even if you whiff combo, being able to surveil and win board is still pretty nice.
And whiffing combo will hopefully be pretty hard because we are playing 4 of this card. So this is the Data Bullet Kome on death. Look at the top 4, choose a yellow climax from them, add it to your hand, discard a card. And this card also has a act effect where she can sacrifice herself to give any of your characters 2k. So it is like a on death Kome that trips itself while giving you little bit of extra power on board. This card has always been pretty insane in every deck it's been able to been played in, and you're playing 8 yellow climaxes, so why wouldn't you play this card? This card is like your deck control engine, climax assurance engine, as well as utility for power and everything else. This is definitely like the card that keeps the deck rolling. All right, so moving into the level 2, let's just get into this combo. So this is the 2/1 Kaguya. So the way this works is when you play it, you can pay 1, discard a character, and then choose the 3/2 user or 3/2 Kaguya in your waiting room and put it at any spot on your stage. And then it is a dachi for higher level, but it's a 2/1, 500 power. That is sort of the big downside with this card, is that if you hit 2 first, or your opponent doesn't really have an early play down, this card is like the absolute worst card to be on your field. And then it also bleed a character from hand. You're probably going to be on your next deck, so you probably have the card in hand that you're ditching. Thankfully, it does spawn out the character from the waiting room, but repeating this over turns, especially if you want to play 2 of these, because this card isn't a very good attacker, it can basically be like looked at as like pay 1, ditch 2 to get your whole board out, because like card isn't really going to be doing anything. It's kind of a minus on your board. So because of that, again, we're running heavy on all these plussing cards. Free Ricky, Ricky, clean cut, and if we hopefully we hit our combo, just because we're playing 8 wind, or our triggers don't plus us, so we have to have other ways in our deck to make our hand size so that we can put out this full board, because ideally you'd like to resolve this like 3 times on your level 2 turn. You'd like to have 2 users, or two Kaguyas and 1 user.
Well, I was going to point out, that's ideally. If we're being honest, I'm jumping the gun here. I was going to wait to the end, but you normally don't get 3 lanes when you go 4. You normally get 2.
Yeah, you get 2 lanes of the thing, and then the back row is really, really important. We're going to get into that implied here. I want to talk about the counters. Brandon runs a really thick counter lineup. 1 memory kick, 1 free fresh, 1 anti-change counter. The name of the game is sort of keeping those early plays on the board, so extra counters in your deck are just ways to help keep those around for hopefully less stock and less hand than be playing it again and having them die. So a thick counter lineup helps support that, and then just playing 3 different very strong counter types gives you some threaten, some different abilities and patience. Memory kick, always generally good for cost of 1. Refresh gets you out of bad situations. That's a pay 3 overall. Refresh your deck. And then the anti-change is a pay 3 sack 1 anti-change to waiting room. So just a nice little counter suite to keep early plays alive.
And your stock isn't super well. It's not very these counters are basically free. Also, jumping the gun again, but you will always have the stock for these once you get your level 3.
So moving right into that finisher, which is also our early play package. This is Yuzuru, and this is the Kaguya, and this is the Yuzuru twins. A little hard to keep. The Yuzuru sits in the back, Kaguya is in the front. Ideally, like Brandon said, you're going to want to have 2 of these in the front and 1 of the back. Use Barton for the deck, because when this card is placed on the stage from hand from the effect of the 2/1 Kaguya, so when you hard play it, or if you play it with 1, you get to heal to keep 2. Then on attack, as long as you have the wind, have a full board, you look it up to the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, choose anything you don't like, remove it, put the rest back, so the Mocha effect, and then you twin drive, and you have to choose. You can choose if it's going to twin drive after you look at the top 2. For some reason, you see 2 clean, you really need to stick that 3 because you're playing a lot of triggers. Maybe you don't want to dig for a swing 4. However, please note that this twin drive is free. You are not paying 1, so you generate an edge stock, and that's why Brandon said a lot of those counters are quote unquote free. You're generating extra stock with your combo after this down, and we want to actually trigger more climaxes because of our back row user effect. So if you have 4 or more Date or Celestial Spirit characters, a full board, you can't return your opponent's characters to hand by the effective wind. That's a little weird, but stay with us. 2k to front, so everything in front of this gets 2,000 power, and then when you play it, stage from hand or from the effect of the 2/1 Kaguya, if you have a full board outside of this card, you can send the top card of your deck to stock, so that 1 plays for 1 less stock. And then here we go to counteract the top one. Whenever your character trigger checks a climax with the wind trigger icon, as long as you have a full board, choose any of your opponent's characters and put it on top of your deck. This card can hit back row. So ideally, what you want is you twin drive, hit like 2 wind triggers, put your opponent's back row on top of their deck before like attacks, and with the Mocha. So you're deleting climaxes from the top of their deck, you're stacking like their back row pieces on top of their deck, and then you're like swinging for 4 or 5, and you take a massive swing and you win the game. When that doesn't happen, the deck kind of falls apart, but like that's the that's the idea, is what you're trying to do. You're trying to trigger a bunch of wins, rip your opponent's back row to the top of their deck, and stick them for 5. And then you stare at your opponent and smile, and they go, "What do I do now?" And then you say, "I don't know. That's your problem." Supporting, yeah. What got any other thoughts on that, Brandon?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, you normally want to try to twin drive it if you can, just to that's the whole point of the deck, is you're spinning the stuff top. That's like the reason you're playing this whole deck, is for this card we're looking at right now. Like, that's the card that puts this deck into the annoying tier. Your opponent will be very ticked. They're gonna roll your eyes at you if they know what you're playing. You sit down across.
Yeah, because if they hit like 2 or more wins on that turn, you're like going to the middle of level 3, like from wherever you are at, because they're stacking cleat damage and they like loot their brainstorm and stuff. God forbid they're playing a board-based deck, you just pop all their big stuff to the top of their deck and kill it. Supporting our early plays, we have this additional twin play. So it is a full board 4 or more other -1 early play. During your turn gets 3k, so it's a 10-5, 7,500 off turn. And then when you play it, if all your characters are Data Celestial Spirits, so a legal Data Life deck, you may pay 2. If you did, perform the following 2 effects in order. If you didn't, do one of them. So if you don't pay, you do either one of these. If pay, you do both. And that is heal, a normal heal from clock to waiting room, and burn 1. So it is both an offensive and defensive early play, or both, if you have the resources. In this deck specifically, likely don't have the resources to be randomly ditching 2. But if you do, if you're having a high roll game, this can both heal you down as well as ping your opponent out. So both an off finisher and a early play heal open.
You're only really ditching the 2 is if you keep clocking and drawing climaxes.
Yeah.
It's the only time you'd ever do the ditch the both modes.
And because we are sort of hand gated and not stock gated, we can play this card, the old Kermie Icy Tail, on play heal. It's a 10-5, has memory kick, and has the on attack pay 3 ditch 1 Icy Tail for 5, gain 2k. If you play in White Schwartz in the past couple years, you definitely know this card. Really powerful off finisher and decompression tool, and we will most certainly have the stock to do it, provided we're executing game plan resolving early play combos. Like I said, we are 8 wind, not a single plussing trigger in the deck. Why we are running such a heavy lineup of early game plussing cards to make sure we get our hand up to then puke it all away to get our Kage and use combo down, trigger a bunch of wins, spin our opponent's cards at the top of the deck, and hopefully stick them for a bunch of damage. I would say that this deck would be pretty cheap, but I think that probably the level 0 for me is probably a lot.
All the Reikis. I think all the Reikis are expensive, actually.
And I have seen Brandon try to play this deck without the heavy Ricky lineup, and it is pretty miserable without all those early game pluses. If you can sort of find a way to do a similar thing, keep your hand up, you can probably find the rest for people. But definitely having that thick Ricky lineup really helps, making sure that you can at least get out 2 of the attacker and the 1 back row. The back row is like the most important part of the deck.
Regardless, the Reikis, even if you ended up not liking this deck, those Reikis are using like all the other DAL lists, so they're gonna pick up either way.
All right, so closing it out here, upcoming content. There are more set reviews to do. We are traveling for a lot of different Spring Fests and stuff like that. I will be in Georgia next weekend with Bill and Dean. Don't believe anyone else from Pittsburgh is there, but if you are there in Georgia, definitely come and hit me up. I love meeting everybody who watches the channel. It's awesome. And meeting people out. Haven't been to a Georgia regional at all, so this is my first time going on in Duluth area. So I'm pretty excited to go down there and play in a I haven't been in before. More set reviews, more deck techs, more stuff like that. I have a couple other things I want to do. I have a video I've been kicking around about shuffling stuff that I want to get through. Get that up on the channel. Maybe some simulator Weiss gameplay content. But as the Springfest season continues, might be some gaps in content on the weeks that we are traveling, preparing. But with that, I think that's it. Pittsburgh White Schwartz signing off. We will see you all in the next one.